Whoa, whoa, whoa! There's no need for that sort of carry on. The best way to solve this is to try you both at the same time. Then we can decide. But first, everyone's favourite interesting beer news anchor. I said anchor. Interesting beer news. It really is very interesting. Terms and conditions apply. Visit a website that doesn't exist for more details. Hello. Personal data may have been stolen in the ransomware attack that forced Asahi to halt beer production, the company has said. Japan's biggest brewer was forced to pause operations at most of its 30 factories in the country after a cyber attack late last month disrupted everything from beer shipments to its accounting system. All of Asahi's facilities have now partially reopened and restarted production, but computer systems remain down, meaning orders are being processed using pen, paper, and fax machines. Oh, those were the good old days. Back to you, Aaron. Yeah, thanks for that, Aaron. Hello and welcome to another episode of Never Fail Ale, and today I'm going to concentrate on the old question of is can better than bottle? And for that particular taste test I've decided to go for Fuller's London Pride. And before we get into opening a can and a bottle, I did want to take a quick look at their website, as I tend to do, just to see what they have in terms of information on the brewery. And to be fair to them, once you go onto the Our Story section of their website, it actually has a really interesting write-up. And it has like a couple of key dates. And it starts off by saying, a story that's been brewing for some time, immortalised in the name of one of our famous ales. 1845 is a year that will be forever be Fuller's. It was then that the partnership papers of Fuller, Smith, and Turner were officially signed, marking the start of something special for London's brewery scene. So yeah, it goes on to give a fair bit of detail in terms of their heritage and where it all began, and in terms of different stages throughout their history up to present day. So I know London Pride is part of, well, I say London Pride, Fuller's in general is part of Asahi UK Limited now. So it does have a brief bit of information there in terms of the brewery's history and kind of bringing it up to date now. So, as mentioned, I am going to go with the London Pride, and I have a bottle of said London Pride and also have a can. Now, I can't lie, history would tell me generally I do prefer canned ale. So I don't know whether that's because my own personal taste preference would rather pick a canned ale as opposed to a bottled condition ale. So if you go on to Fuller's shop on their website, it will give you the bottled option, but I don't actually think it gives you the canned option, which is interesting. It could well be wrong, but taking a look at it here, I've clicked on to the bottle on their shop, and it says brewed under the watchful eye of our Griffin since 1950. So that's actually really impressive. London Pride is unmistakably London's beer. With its well-rounded flavour and rich history, everything about this authentic, characterful beer binds it to our capital city and the people who love it. So let's see which one tastes better, if in fact either of them do. So I'm actually going to try the bottled version of London Pride first off and just see kind of how it pours, how it tastes. And what I've also done as well, I'll just quickly show you, is, because I'm all about fairness, is make sure that I use the same glass for each, the bottle and the can version. So let me just, so in terms of on the nose, it doesn't really give me a huge amount from the bottle. So, which is quite interesting in terms of not much smell. Let's see how it pours out the bottle. So you can see that's actually not poured too badly. There's not a huge amount in terms of its body by the looks of it. Really not a great head. You can see a little bit of carbonation there. So let's see if it smells any different. Once again, not a huge amount on the nose, really. So no London Pride, as mentioned earlier, it's been around for years, and it is quite a staple within the Fuller's Brewery history. And you see it in supermarket shops across the country, quite readily available. So it's one of those kind of staples that you're always going to be able to get hold of. So kind of taste how it looks. I know it probably sounds a bit strange, but there's just not that much body to it. It's quite like there's definitely a bitter end to it, quite biscuity maybe. To me, there's a bit of raisin in there as well. It's like a fruity, yeah, like a dark. I was gonna say dark fruit then. Yeah, there's like a raisin taste to it. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's okay.
What?
That's the thing in terms of this particular taste test, with it being bottle versus can. I never really know what to expect. Now, with the London Pride, I would only really tend to actually have it on cask. So when I do see it in a bar, I would order it on cask. So as far as my memory allows me or serves me, I don't think I've had London Pride in bottle form or can. Like I say, only on a hand pull. So I don't really know what to expect. Now, interestingly, from the can, it smells. There's definitely more of a smell there. Let's just see. Sorry, let's just so you can see how it pours. Now, that seems much better. So it's got a nicer head to it from the can. Once again, a little bit of carbonation there, if you can see. Yeah, in terms of the smell, it does actually have more of a smell coming for that. I was just, my initial reaction then is it's significantly different in terms of mouthfeel. It just seems smoother, more well rounded, shall we say? But then, kind of like the aftertaste is very, very similar. So there's like that biscuity, sort of bittersweet, and then yeah, there's definitely like a raisin in there for me. Give it another go. But ultimately, it's a very, very similar taste. Let's just kind of get the two up there. So you can see there's a fair bit of difference there in terms of its body. So that's your bottled condition ale, and that's the one from the can, sorry. So you can see there's a slight variation, and even in terms of the colour, I don't know whether that's because of the light or whether the can version is slightly lighter than the bottle version. But yeah, to me, you can even see on the glass, that's always a good sign for me. When it clings to the side of the glass like that, I always think you're onto a winner. In terms of the details on the can and the bottle itself, I think it's very, very similar. So yeah, so they're both 4.7%. And yeah, it's just very similar detail on both. There's not a huge amount to kind of differentiate themselves. But yes, to me, I do actually think can wins. Ultimately, in terms of its final taste, I think they're very, very similar. But for mouthfeel, yeah, I do think can tips it. Let's just have a quick look in terms of what they've put for the hops and the malt that they've used. So yeah, the hops they've used Target, Goldings, Northdown, and Challenger. It's quite complex, really, in terms of hop selection. And the malt they've used is Pale Ale, Crystal, and Chocolate. And then, yeah, it just goes on to say that it's 4.7 premium ale. And it just states about the crystal malt, etc. So, yeah, interesting that. So, like I say, I've gone for a very normal staple ale that you would find on most shelves across the country, whether it be a supermarket or your local shop, just to taste test the two of them between the can and bottle. And for me, can wins. Cheers.